Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I do hope you're having a fantastic day. Now that the Olympics are over, we're going to talk a little bit about the WNBA commissioner as they move into the back end of their first, I was going to say first real season just to upset everyone who doesn't like Caitlin Clark, but I'll say their first season. The people were paying attention. Okay. All right, their first season with Caitlin Clark. We're heading into the stretch run of their first season with Caitlin Clark. So, oh man, this is. First, I'm going to point out. Let's look at this headline because I got something we got to talk about just on this. I didn't know it would happen this quickly. WNBA commissioner taken aback by the Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese-led growth in interest in WNBA. I guess that should be in the WNBA. So this brings up something I found fascinating. And I might have mentioned this in passing in another video, so maybe you've heard me say this, but if you haven't noticed this, start looking for it. Everything now, when we're talking about positives with the WNBA, you know, fans, whatever it is, attendance, ratings, all that stuff. Have you noticed that they've all gotten onto the same page now of tacking on and Angel Reese to everything positive when talking about Caitlin Clark? It is now, and here, I'll give you a great example that really shows it. Think back to when this Olympic basketball team was named. And what were they like? I think it was June 11th. I mean, it was pretty early into the WNBA season. And all the talk, 100% of the talk then with regard to any rookie was the discussion of why was Caitlin Clark not on that team. And there were some other players people talked about as well, such as Enrique. But one name never, ever mentioned in that discussion was Angel Reese. And again, this is not a shot at Angel Reese, so everyone relax who loves her. I don't know that you really love her so much as you don't like Caitlin, but I'll give it to you. However, I've heard now in multiple discussions, I've heard Stephen A. Smith say it multiple times. I've seen it on Twitter many times. Now people are saying that this Olympic team needed Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And Angel Reese. Not once did anyone, there was no one who mentioned Angel Reese's name when this Olympic team came out. It's just fascinating that everything is now and Angel Reese. Okay, so I want to dig into some stuff by the commissioner that just shows you why the WNBA has been an absolute cluster, you know what, this season with regards to Caitlin Clark coming in the league, but also shows you why it's basically been a joke all this time because we have a commissioner who has no idea what she's doing. No idea what she's doing. So let's dig into this. The commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, recently was on CNBC to talk about the growth of the WNBA and USA national basketball team and all of that. The rise of the WNBA, here it is again, the rise of the WNBA after the arrival of college stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let me ask you something. You can put this in the comments below. I know some of you won't be honest about this, but most of you will. Would we be talking about the WNBA at all if there was no Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese came into the league? The answer is no, by the way. What about if there was no Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark came into the league? It would be basically the same as it is now, except we wouldn't be talking about Angel Reese. But the attendance, the ratings, all of that, the merchandise, the nonsense from the other players, it would all still exist, right? But see, now it's a thing. Everywhere you go, it's Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Commissioner talked about how the WNBA raised capital 2 years ago and underwent a digital transformation. Yes, a digital transformation. I'm sure you are all very, very aware of the recent digital transformation of the WNBA. It's been amazing, right? No, you didn't know about that? Okay. She pointed out that the rivalries between household names like Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart were firing up the league. Household names like Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart were firing up the league. Now, again, I am not laughing or mocking or joking about Asia Wilson and Brianna Stewart. I'm laughing and mocking and joking about the commissioner of the WNBA because we all know that this is not true. Neither Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart were household names. Are there people who knew of her? Of course, there were people going to games, but they were not household names. We're talking about a league that loses millions of dollars and draws very few fans. Only even got on TV because of the NBA, right? The ESPN wanted the NBA, so they took the WNBA. And this isn't helpful because this just turns people off. Look, the WNBA was what it was, and now it has an opportunity. We don't need to go back and talk like this. This is very passive aggressive nonsense. And I go back to plenty of videos I've seen. You can go find them where they go out on the street and just ask people questions. And I've seen plenty about the WNBA because they frame it, the whole idea of equal pay, right? And you'll get all these people who say that the women in the WNBA should get the same amount of money as the men in the NBA. Setting aside all the economic reality of that, they would then, of course, be asked to name the team in their city if they were in a city with a team, name their favorite team, name their favorite player. None of them could ever answer that question. By the way, even if it's not Caitlin Clark, I bet many of them could answer that question now. They would at least have heard of something. Even if they don't actually watch and support themselves, they know enough where they could answer and say someone like Asia Wilson or Brianna Stewart because they are becoming household names thanks to Caitlin Clark. And of course, they were firing up the league. However, the arrival of the generational rookies sped up the process much faster than she had anticipated. So a couple of things here. Not generational rookies, Caitlin Clark. But more importantly, setting aside the Caitlin Clark thing, setting aside that it was this specific player, this is the commissioner of the WNBA. She was witnessing, and again, it could be any player. It just happens to be Caitlin Clark, okay? So this isn't about Caitlin. I'm not pumping up Caitlin. I'm talking about the commissioner. She was looking at that college career and the popularity and the fans that it drew and the ratings. Like, what was the South Carolina game the year Iowa beat them? So in 2022. No, 2020. No. Yeah. Do I have it wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was actually 2023, right? They beat them on their way to facing LSU. So I think that game drew like over 14 million fans, right? They played oh my gosh, where did they play? Was it Notre Dame? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking about the outdoor game, right? Where they drew like 55,000 fans outdoors because they played the game in a football stadium. Like, you're watching all this. You're the commissioner of the WNBA, a league that is struggling for recognition. And you're watching this and you didn't know that Caitlin Clark, that this player was going to bring these fans to the WNBA. And here we go again, these generational rookies like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. That rivalry coming out of college. There was no rivalry coming out of college. There was a lot of people that talked about the nonsense at the end of that championship game. So I didn't know it would happen this quickly but the attendance, the viewership, and everything has gone great. I'm questioning her competency in running the WNBA, and I'm starting to see why the WNBA has had some of the problems that it has had. Oh, man. Furthermore, the WNBA commissioner talked about the importance of the media rights the league has acquired and what it meant for her to have big media brands approach the league with great deals. Where was that coming from? We know the negotiations were going on before Caitlin Clark got to the league, but we also know that Caitlin Clark coming to the league was part of those negotiations. Media rights for women's sport have been undervalued for way too long, Engelbert said. I'm so proud of the equality at play on the court, too. It has to be great, and it has been. Then these rookies and household names, and this media deal is historic for, I think, all of women's sports. I'm not really sure what she's saying here, and I just say that is because it seems silly. I don't know what the women's sports have been undervalued for way too long thing is in terms of media rights. All of these, whether it's the companies broadcasting the games or which and they're the ones obviously paying the WNBA or the NBA or whoever it is, but they also know that they have to then get the ratings to generate the advertising revenue to make up more than what they're giving to the leagues, right? It's again basic economics. It's basic supply and demand. So I don't understand what she means by undervalued. I mean, have male models been undervalued for way too long because what they get is far, far, far less than female models get. Equality at play on the court. I think she's just so like brain dead in her thinking that she just spouts out these buzzwords. Proud of the equality at play on the court too. What does that mean? We should be worried about quality of play. I don't even know what equality at play means. I mean, is she talking about parity? Which is we try and get a little bit, which is why we have things like the draft and so forth and salary caps and everything. Is that what she's talking about? So that teams can be competitive and bad teams aren't bad all the time, or at least if they're properly run, they're not. But, and yeah, this uh, this media deal is not historic for all of women's sports. There are women's sports that have done very well that have not going to be affected by this at all. But again, there's these rookies and household names, not Caitlin Clark, not Caitlin Clark. Man, again, since the arrival of generational rookies like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, WNBA viewership and arena attendance have skyrocketed. The league is undergoing substantial positive development, which has had a beneficial impact on the demand for women's sports. Okay, it hasn't had a beneficial impact on the demand for women's sports. There have been plenty of women's sports that people watch. I mean, we could talk about the U.S. women's national team in soccer, which has been incredibly popular for an incredibly long time. And by the way, we have seen their ratings already for the gold medal match, even though we haven't seen ratings for the Team USA basketball team from over a week ago. If I, by the way, I think the U.S. This is off the top of my head because I did see it briefly, but I didn't have it to do this video because I actually didn't think I'd mentioned the U.S. women's soccer team. But I think it was like over 9 million people watched the women's gold medal match against Brazil, including me. I love the U.S. women's soccer team. I've been a fan forever. I've actually talked to some of the players. There's a couple that live near me. That actually aren't on the team anymore, but I have attended practices for the U.S. women's national team for soccer. Okay, so this isn't a women thing. It's a quality of your sport thing. It's a quality of your league thing. And the WNBA viewership and arena attendance is because of Caitlin Clark. And by the way, for those who are going to go in the comments about how the league was growing, yeah, the league was growing a little bit. It was growing a little bit and still losing millions of dollars each year. To look at the growth of this year compared to last year versus year by year growth of any year before that is absurd because they're not even in the same universe. As far as WNBA viewership and arena attendance, look at the list of viewership with the games for, what is it, 16 games now, I believe, have had over 1 million viewers. That's haven't had any million viewer games since 2008. I believe 14 of them have Caitlin Clark in them. The other two are games that were before Caitlin Clark's game, so people were watching those into the Indiana Fever game. Angel Reese, I believe, is in 2 of them, or maybe 3 of them. And they're all against Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Arena attendance. Again, games move to bigger arenas for Caitlin Clark, whether it's Atlanta or DC or Vegas or Los Angeles. And the Indiana Fever set a home away record attendance for the WNBA for an entire season, and they did it in 26 games. This is not someone who's going to lead this league into the next level of popularity and profitability. All right, I'm not even going to get into this because this is almost like a whole other video, and I've talked about it. I'll scroll down and see if there's more from the commissioner. But again, Caitlin Clarkson and Angel Reese are in tough competition for the WNBA Rookie of the Year. We know that's not true. There is no tough competition. WNBA Rookie of the Year, where there's no clear contender. Well, okay, that's just poor understanding of words. I believe they mean no clear front runner, because if they're saying they're in tough competition, then they're saying that they both are contenders. So that's just a simple, very basic vocabulary issue that got past the writer and the editor and whomever else looked at this. And see, here we go again. I have no idea who Dino Cook is. Women's basketball is undergoing a transformative era driven by the remarkable talents and artistry of players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Look, man, we can sit here and say Angel Reese is a next level rebounder. Okay, you can say that, and I'm not really going to argue with you. But I think we know one word we cannot associate to her style of basketball is artistry. Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, I think that is it for the commissioner. Yeah, because we're getting into the rookie stuff. But this is, how do these people get these positions of power? How did she get here? How could someone be so unprepared for what was coming for your league, so that you're dropping the ball every step of the way, every little bit of opportunity, you're wrecking it? You could not have asked for anything better in terms of an opportunity for a league that was toiling in obscurity and losing money. And now you have this. It's going to be interesting to see what we get going forward. Both, I think the ratings initially coming back will probably be huge. Then we've got some fall sports coming. Let's not deny that football is coming, and we're going to have the baseball stretch run as well. So we'll see what happens in terms of that, and then we'll see what goes next year. Is it going to die down a little bit? Are people still going to be interested? Or are they going to be like, hey, that first year was ridiculous, I'm only watching Caitlin Clark? It's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I would recommend a new commissioner. I think that's probably a really good idea. Someone who can take advantage of this situation. But I'm going to leave it there. It's got a lot longer than I thought. My apologies, although hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a little something on the subject matter that you didn't know. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below on all of this, especially this whole, because it's fascinating to me how it just popped up and it's everywhere, this whole and Angel Reese thing, to where they're rewriting history about the Olympic roster when it came out. No one mentioned Angel Reese. And now when it's brought up, people say, oh, Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese should have been on this team. And of course, obviously, let me know about the commissioner. Should she keep her job? Do they need to get a new commissioner? I don't know how that's set up in the WNBA. I know, like in the NFL and stuff, there's it's owner voting and all that stuff. But so which leads me to believe they would never get rid of her. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Really hope you're having a great day, a fantastic day. Oh man, that's the first time I ended with it too. I bookended it. See that? That's smart stuff. But I'll talk to you in the next video.